meeting to order. As required under notice bylaw 144/2007, the public is advised of council's intention to adopt the following at its May 16, 2017 meeting. Council intends to formally adopt the 2017 Business Improvement Board levy. Council intends to amend the 2016 capital budget to commit funds from the road reserves in the amount of $62,936.46 to the 7th Avenue Bridge design. Council intends to formally adopt the 2017 solid waste utility budget. Council intends to formally adopt the 2017 water and wastewater utility budget. Council will establish parking lot rates for the First Avenue South, long-term parking for 20-hour residents. Council will manage a summer meeting calendar to remove one summer month from the monthly meetings. Council will approve the reallocation of $30,000 to be funded through contingency reserve for the completing the Anishinaabe barbecue pit improvement project. Just don't read. No. Okay. Okay, declaration of pecuniary interest, anyone? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, confirmation of previous committee minutes?
Yeah, I got it. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Wascase, that the minutes from the last regular committee of the whole meeting held April 11th, 2017, and the special committee of the whole meeting held April 18th, 2017, be confirmed as written and filed. Thanks, Ken.
All in favor, Council? Opposed, carried. Okay, we have 10 deputations today. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, the first deputation is Derek Ramrod from Oxon. Derek? Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for meeting with us today. My name is Derek LaMarche, and I'm one of the regional mobilizers of Oxon for this campaign, We Own It. My colleague Mike Schramm, an Oxon member and volunteer. We are here today to present and review this resolution that speaks to our northern concern: privatization of our public assets, keeping quality jobs, wages, and services to keep growth in our economy. We built it, we paid for it, we're selling it. Why selling it? Public services is not for sale because we own it. Mike?
Thanks for having us here this morning. I'll start with probably the most recent example that was widespread, especially in the Kenora region, and affected, including my family as well. MTO sold off large amounts of its highway maintenance division as well as its engineering division. This lost into the not quite hundreds, but close to jobs in the Kenora region. With this, it was good paying jobs, benefits, salaries, and that wasn't just single people moving away, it was entire families leaving the region. What it's been replaced with is a series of blind tendered contractors. With these contractors, it literally goes to the lowest bidding company. Yes, there are standards that are held to, however, since that takeover, the number of road accidents in winter has increased at a rate that is not aligning with the growing number of drivers. In Northern Ontario in 2014, the contracting company was fined for not salting and sanding roads properly in a cost-cutting measure, leading to a 14 tractor trailer accident on Northern Ontario roads that may have been prevented in previous government-run maintenance. Another, now probably the most common, besides hydro, threat is the LCBO threat of privatization. I've worked at the LCBO for 3 years, and I can tell you that the LCBO runs its business in a way that a lot of private corporations couldn't do. Especially in this region, we have a massive substance abuse problem. It's been well documented. The LCBO works extremely hard to keep alcohol out of the hands of minors, already intoxicated people, or people selling to those. having it available in an easier manner, with people who aren't trained as well is only going to increase that problem. And it's not as profitable for businesses as people may think. The LCBO doesn't mark up its prices that much higher than they get it at value. They deal with quantity, not high profit margins. So it's more used as a means to get people into the store, not that you'll be making a ton of money on the liquor itself. Also with that, we're gonna be putting potentially young people, you only need to be 18 years old to sell alcohol. If you don't have the proper training and it's an open late store, you could be being forced to refuse your friends or be intimidated to sell to someone who's already intoxicated because you don't have that proper system in place that the LCBO already has.
Just want to mention also, recently, just before December, Service Ontario was under attack, and we were able to talk to the communities in Igneys and Atikokan, and talk to the business group and also the town, and we were able to stop actually government from downsizing our services, that quality public services again. So one job in our communities is equal to 33 in the GTA, like Toronto area and big cities. So we were able to keep jobs, and everyone was on board right away, so it was well received, and we were able to keep good paying jobs and services in the communities. And recently, in March, we were able to do a deputation in Fort Francis, and we submitted actually the same resolution. And on 27th of March, they came back with us and accepted the motion. So we're quite happy and pleased to be working with Fort Francis and now Thunder Bay also. We're just waiting for a few amendments with the resolution, and standing by and waiting to work together in our communities in the north and taking care of our problems and issues. Thank you.
The motion in front of you today has been amended from what's been used in other cities to more align with what we're looking for in the north. The resolution in front of you isn't concrete. We're totally open to amendments, changes, and new ideas to it. What we're really looking for is just to have a partnership with the city of Kenora, trying to keep jobs local, public services highly accountable. We're just trying to find a way to work together. So if you find any way that this motion can pass, whether you need to make changes or accept it as is, we'll be very happy to get the chance to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Just a comment.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with you about the LCBO and the liquor, Northwestern Ontario. I think that our stats show that we are more heavily impacted by the effects of alcohol and the costs in our community. And I really believe that we need to be responsible when it comes to alcohol. So thank you for that. And I agree with the MTO. I think we've seen the results of the privatization of our roads, and it affects our families and our friends. So I agree with you on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think the other thing on the LCBO is the profit that comes back to Ontario citizens, and even back in, remember in the Harris days when they were gonna privatize it, and even their own party said, no, it's too much profit. We're not gonna throw this out, it's too good a deal for, and it is managed well.
And most of that money goes back right into the communities.
Yeah. Councilman Gill?
I had the chance to meet with Mike and Derek, I guess, a couple of months ago. And so I appreciate you coming back and sharing that message with council. And I think we'll review the information, take a look at it, and see where we go from there. So thanks for coming back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
The services in regards to staffing, how does that operate in order for various individuals from different communities, especially the First Nations communities, having an opportunity to get into as a worker?
Almost all, especially LCBO, has equal hiring policy. Everyone has a fair opportunity for it. Where we both work is in a youth center, where we encourage, because most of our youth do come from a First Nations background, we reach out exceptionally hard to have more First Nations workers, because the connection is undeniable that it works better, and we are also in a public service. That's the ones that I know from that I've worked at. What each individual group does, I don't know, but I believe that all Ontario public services would have fair hiring policies.
Equality, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking of the northern communities because Kenora's about, and a large number of them are First Nations or Ojibwe Cree.
Yes,
And I think it's important that we try to get an image of some of them making it in there because we have the image in Kenora where the natives are the drunks and they get the liquor from the liquor store.
yeah.
And I think the idea of trying to improve that image would be a great thing. So I was just asking the question of
Yeah.
where are we trying to move that picture?
From an OXU perspective ourselves, we have several equity seeking groups speaking for the Aboriginal community, reaching out, trying to improve employment. We have, it's called the Aboriginal Circle. It's a province-wide group coming from, I can't remember where our representative, I believe they're from Thunder Bay. Yeah, and they meet, I believe, quarterly, trying to improve working conditions for Aboriginals, because there's no denying that in certain places there's discrimination. And this is a group that works not just within OXU, but out into communities, trying to improve living conditions and especially employability for First Nations.
And also, actually, we have equity mobilizers right across Ontario. So Indigenous people that are going out into the communities and talking about the same issues and what they can do.
Also from the LCBO, one of the most important things that we get for training is about how you approach your suspected intoxicated people. We're taught very, very strictly not to go off the stereotypes that we may be presented with. Working firsthand there, we have refused equal numbers of every race, especially in the summer. There's people coming off the lake, especially at the Kuwait liquor store, that have been drinking going back on their boats. And the LCBO works very hard to make sure that they don't discriminate against any clientele, because it really does not matter who's coming in the store. We want to treat everyone equally.
Just don't come drunk. Eh?
Basically, just do not come drunk. That's all, or underage.
Councillor Smith from Kuwait wants to respond to that.
From Kuwait liquor store. Yeah. I'm there monitoring all of that. No, but what I wanted to say in response to Colin's, question about hiring minorities, and that actually it was OXU that led the way in hiring minorities. And the unions, they lead the way in health and safety, so they do so much for our community and our people. Colin has a good point about in the north, maybe a northern campaign for Aboriginal hiring, and that is something that, you know, could be a northern flavor.
Yeah.
Because the unions do lead the way
Yes.
in that kind of public policy.
So they just started actually a campaign with water and a partnership actually, so it's about the water campaign right now.
Thank you.
What about the qualities of training? Is that done through the public system in regards to universities and colleges? Is there a mark that you guys use to be a worker at the
Depending on each place, everyone has their different hiring standards. Some jobs will require a university degree, others grade 12, but it's more, for most places, it's more about what you can bring to, regardless if you have a 4-year university degree. LCBO, our place of work, will hire people from all educational backgrounds based on what skills they can bring. And that goes true for a lot of public services. They're not requiring a university degree necessarily, although it's an asset. It's more about what skills you can bring to the table without just relying on education.
My last question is in regards to the language, and because we're a multi-language Canada.
Yes.
But in the north, we have mostly native people speaking.
Yes.
And I think it's, what kind of training do the staff get in regards to trying to understand some of the native languages
In our,
and culture?
quite honestly, not quite enough. I think that that's something that's been overlooked in a lot of ways, in a lot of employable places. Hopefully, like Councillor Smith mentioned, something like OXU can be a leader in the way of making that more common, especially in the north, where it's far more prominent than in southern Ontario. I guess a lot of policies are made in places that don't have the same cultural background that we have in Kenora in the north, and hopefully we can start to lead the way in the north.
I was just gonna say, could they have tasting time at the?
I'll put in a good word for you.
Councilor Waskes was asking the language barrier because he has a real hard problem with Ojibwe.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. sir.
thank you guys.
Okay, our next application is Jasmine Romanek.
Thanks for having me. I'm just gonna put my timer on, because I like to be timed. I don't wanna stretch too far on you folks.
Okay, that's why I have the gavel.
Okay, okay, I don't wanna hear it. Okay, well, I am so happy to be here. My name is Jasmine Romaniuk, formerly Charmaine Romaniuk. I ran in the 2011 provincial election. Could recognize me at that time, but I sat on a couple of city councils as well. But I spent the last 8 years in university. I studied in undergrad in anthropology, and I got my master's of science in biology. I'm considered an ethnobotanist. And what I do as an ethnobotanist is I started a not-for-profit corporation called the Kenora Healing Center. And at Kenora Healing Center is that we try to teach freedom. So what I do is we translate between scientific knowledge and Western knowledge, using the language, working with northern communities. I just finished a contract in Wakika First Nation and working on crisis there. So I like to take my love of Kenora and bring it out into the world. So I came back to Kenora to start the Healing Center to do work to heal Kenora. And I just wanted to have a big thank you to you folks for adopting the Truth and Reconciliation 7 steps in the commission. I think there's many more steps to take, but it all takes a little bit of time, little by little, we do things. So I just want to thank you for your training, because I do a number of diversity training at Blue Sky Healing Center, and we'll go out into communities and large organizations like Science North. I've taught them how to be culturally sensitive. It's really important to use the language, but I am not a fluent speaker. But today I wanted to talk about Kenora's healing journey. Now, Kenora's healing journey is wonderful. Like I said, the city is learning. You guys are working toward growth and for the greatness of Kenora in general, for the love of Kenora. So what I would really like to say is that I watched a documentary on CBC in May called Colonization Road. I don't know if any of you folks may have seen it. And when I look at the video on YouTube, it has a picture of the word Colonization Road and Gamose right behind it. Colonization Road here is very small. It's not like in Fort Francis where it runs right into Couchiching First Nation, which is a bit of a sticking point for a lot of the Indigenous people in that area. Actually, every area, especially here in Kenora. So what I'm here to do is to ask that we change the name of Colonization Road to a more appropriate name. I can't tell you what the more appropriate name is because my first idea was Reconciliation Road, but that's not my decision necessarily. This may be a public decision or the decision of the city in and of itself. But I really think that due to the national image of when people think Kenora, we think Gord Downey. We think Gord Downey's secret path. We think people walking home from CJ school. We think people not making it home nationally. So this one little point, this one little tiny road, we can change perspective of the population in general, because people who are not as understanding of Indigenous cultures as yourselves don't know why we would change it. And when the city changes Colonization Road to an alternative name, we get an idea that, well, why was it a bad word? Well, a lot of people in Kenora don't really know, and that's okay. We have a terrible shadow of residential schools. But part of the healing is moving little by little, and I've seen that the city is doing this. So this is really just falling in line with the way the city's moving in general. And so in my heart and in my kindness and in my ultimate compassion, I hope and pray that you would agree that we could change the name of colonization road to something more culturally appropriate, less of a cultural irritant for a lot of the indigenous peoples in this area, especially since we have 13 communities around us and then many more farther north. I think we can be leaders in reconciliation, especially with our long history. 4 residential schools, thousands of people affected, long intergenerational trauma. We can start to teach the public, and then the public can help us all heal. So you're not the only ones doing the work, but the city learning is the work. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President. Any questions, council? Councilor Smith?
Thanks for the kind words about how we're moving forward as a city, because I think that's important that everybody knows that we are really trying. And you're right, it's all about education and little steps. So I'm just thankful that you're acknowledging the work that we are trying to do in the city. It's good work, and it is those little steps, but it really is about education. So thank you very much.
Councilor Ross?
Thanks again for that, Jasmine. I appreciate what you've done there. Just a comment. I'm not sure how long Colonization Road has been named Colonization Road, but I think it goes back to some sort of a property argument around Nash Street and some properties on Nash Street. But I did a little digging around and found some anecdotal evidence that that Colonization Road, if you look at it on the map, it actually circles back around to the current Lakeview Drive. I guess there was at the time of the building of the bridge that crosses, I'm trying to describe it best, the Headwaters development is where the bridge is, and that bridge was built, I'm not sure what the date was, but prior to that, the Trans-Canada Highway crossed just, I'm gonna get my directions right here, I guess slightly east of that, and then circled around and joined up. So it followed the shoreline more than it did originally, where it went up into the other area. So that goes back to, I guess, the old Trans-Canada Highway at one point, or a highway through there. Rory might know about that. He was probably a teenager running around.
He's older than me. But I think more, sorry, Dave.
No.
Yeah, I think you bring forward an interesting comment, because when you go back, there was some research done on that loop coming down, and it was also Bixby's Landing that went across where the track was, and it was, I'm not using the right language, but it was a trail, and some of it led into Tunnel Island, which was known as a place to stay over. So there was a consistency between that and the colonization road. So much like Sharon, Jasmine, I appreciate you pointing out that the community is working at healing, and it's a long process, and it's critically important that we rebuild relationships that were there. So I would think it's a decision of council, and clearly something we could review about the name, because it is consistently happening across the country with that term colonization. And another person that did some consistent research in that area was Kyler Cotton about the Bixby's Landing and tying into Tunnel Island, and where it headed down the Winnipeg River with the 3 communities. And we have the common ground in the Tunnel Island section that we're working on. So thanks for your comments.
Yeah, I think Councilor Ross brought up a good point. I don't know what the history is on why it's called Colonization Road. It's probably not the same meaning. The English language is a funny language. We know what happens when you change the names of streets sometimes, because you get in trouble because there was a reason they were named that. So we would have to check that out and find out what's the meaning behind it. Did it have anything to do with colonization? Was there another reason it was named Colonization Road? Yeah, but we could check that out. And when you were saying Reconciliation Street, I was saying Reconciliation Way would probably make more sense than street. And but we'll check that out and see what we can do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilor Wesley?
I think it was called Lover's Lane. And so But what I think some of the overtones you're making in regards to bringing both groups together, non-native and native, and trying to develop a process of understanding, not historically, but also presently. So I think it's important that one of the things I'm trying to move now is people begin to understand the language and use the language. Like, I think it's exciting to a native person when somebody uses a little bit of language as bad as it might be, just like my French is. My French is really bad, but I try it with the French people from time to time, and they say, "What did you say?" But I think the effort that you're making in regards to that, and especially in Kenora, is a very important part, because language is the part that makes us come together, you know? The language I use at home with my wife and the language I use here sometimes differs. So it's important that we try to make a distinction in regards to making some efforts towards getting together, you know? And that the native people here, when you talk about trails, I think the journey that we're talking about is that we share the same journey and the same trail.
Right, we are all treaty partners.
Tell me when Treaty 3 was signed?
It was signed in 1870, was it 76?
No,
1873.
you're close. You're
We're
good.
really close, I know, it's been years since, my undergrad.
It's close.
So you can come back and ask him when it was signed.
Yeah, my treaty number is treaty number 4, that's where I come from.
I'm
So
sure
they
you
went
saw-
from here to Saskatchewan.
Tells you how old he is. Sorry, Colin.
We're just part of Canada.
Colin, if you wouldn't mind another comment, I have terrible Ojibwe as well. But I learned specifically doing these, speaking parts, is how to say my name. Maingan and Unkwe, in addition to Kaus, Wigazito, Need Norway House, Cree Nation. Hopefully I didn't.
Norway House, the Cree Nation, eh?
Yeah, I'm Cree when I speak Ojibwe.
Yeah, I'm Cree too. I'm also a former teacher in Norway House, and
Oh.
so I know. But I'm also Ojibwe. My dad's also Ojibwe. We spoke both languages.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, on with the agenda, corporate services and strategic initiatives, private asset management network grant application.
I'll tackle that. In 2017, FCM introduced a new program designed to look at climate change, and it's something that they contacted the city on, kind of, we were interested because we had previously talked to them about participating in their asset management plan programs. I think this is a great opportunity, actually, leveraging 80% knowledge to use towards introducing climate change as part of the risk management in our asset management plan. And so we're requesting council approval to apply for the grant. If the grant is approved, then we would come back with a budget request as well to, yeah, it's not currently built into the budget, but 80% of the roughly $50,000 project is to be able to incorporate climate change into our risk management, our asset management plan is really a great opportunity for us to pursue.
So just for clarification, Karen, we're gonna put the application forth.
Correct.
Only if we get the funding, then we're gonna move the project
Correct.
forward. Okay, thanks.
All good? Okay. Capital unusual spending.
All this is an analysis of all our projects that were budgeted and or undertaken for 2016, including unusual spending projects. I won't go through it in detail, but what we plan to do for in future is to present to you months, and then we'll do fourth quarter from here on in instead of us doing the whole year all at once.
Good idea.
Dave?
So Councilor Rainer?
Charlotte, just so I understand better, and we'll just use the first three on the report. So we had a copier, planned for 10 grand, cost us 55. So we have an underspend of 4,500. It says moved to unusual spend. So all these, any money that wasn't spent in 16, we just moved into reserves for future years, for future projects, for.
Correct. It either stays in reserve,
Yes.
or we're taking the money out of reserve.
Right, okay, yes, if we're gonna take 100,000 out, we've only taken 85.
Correct.
Okay,
It'll just stay now if something was funded by net tax levy and we were informed to do it in the next year, then we put it into the reserve at the end of this year so we can use it.
okay, great, thank you.
Okay, everybody's fine?
I'm good.
Okay, biz levy request.
So this is a request from the biz for the 2017 levy. The bylaw needs to be passed and we make sure that it is included on all final tax billings. And you may recall that biz was particularly hard hit by the adjustments on the mall property. And they have determined that they will not increase their tax rate for 2017, despite the fact that their levy will actually be significantly lower. They're looking for a levy of under $40,000 to adjust for the write-off that they experienced, as well as the net impacts in 2017. And it will be up to the bids to look at how they want to accommodate that moving forward.
So it's 39,700.
So, how does that, like the attachment from the letter from Carla Devlin,
Yes,
it used a total levy of 42,389.
did I attach the wrong one?
I'm not sure, Karen, that's why what was requested and what we're approving are slightly different by about $3,300.
The original request that they sent was $42,000.
Okay.
That represented a fairly significant percentage increase to the biz, and because the biz, with the adjustment and the write-off was fairly complicated this year, I circled back to the biz just to make sure they clearly understood. The final decision from the group was that they did not want to push on any tax rate increase, that they would take whatever levy resulted at the same rate as last year.
So did they resubmit the report?
They did,
So just because I'd like to have the proper information when I attend the
yeah,
meetings.
I apologize, I don't have that here, I just have the image.
No, that's fine, because
I did submit the wrong one. I will get the amended one and send it.
thank you.
Okay. Budget amendment, 7th Avenue Bridge.
So you remember last month that I requested that the, design work for this bridge for 2017 out of reserve as opposed to what we thought would be OSIP funding. This is just for the 2016 expenditure, same idea. So we didn't get the OSIP top up, as you recall, so when I was doing 2016, I realized that I didn't, get council approval to take it out of reserves for 2016, and I did for 2017.
We'll make sure we get the top up. Okay, the solid waste budget. Does anybody got any more questions after yesterday? Okay.
My only comment would be, staff has been tasked with looking at the, our revenue structure, so it's continuing involvement, so the process is really good, the information provided in the long-term planning, so it just, I just want people to realize that, there may be changes coming in the fee structure in order to continue so that this doesn't it's always there, we never have to go to the taxpayer, it's a user pay system.
Great, good. And water and wastewater. Same thing, is there any, we had a lengthy discussion yesterday, it was sort of interesting being this approach to, we're always worried about water, and maybe we should be just as worried about wastewater. So it was kind of a bit of an eye-opener, because you think of clean water, you don't think of what you do with it after. And it's 65 lift stations, it's extremely important, so it was good information. Definitely will.
To just add to what Dan is saying, with the budgets and the importance of, with the user pay, and we started reviewing our rates, so there's no surprises to the public when that's done, but the other thing is, an aside, I just really appreciated the commitment of the two managers on the budget, and they're working towards keeping it in line and ensuring that we're aware of critical issues, so their work up and discussion yesterday was much appreciated. So thanks, Jim.
It's interesting because after I went home last night, after our discussion about water and wastewater, I was reading Municipal World this month, and they've got a really good article in there about wastewater treatment. And they said acknowledging a hidden municipal service, and when Bamal was talking, Bamal was talking yesterday, he said that most people don't understand how wastewater works in our community because nobody thinks of it, it's underground, right? And this article actually talks about ways that we could actually communicate that, educate the public better. It's almost like just with visual pictures of even downstream, taking pictures of the nature, that it's so clean when it comes out into the water. And one of the suggestions was to do a photography contest with the schools where it comes out, and to show how pristine the water is and nature is, and you know, you could educate the public about how important that system is. So for me, it was just timely after the presentation yesterday and the comments he made, is to go home and read this article. It's exactly what he was saying. Maybe he read this article before I did.
So you're saying you take a cup and drink it then?
Well, I don't know about that. No, I trust our wastewater department.
Maybe he wrote the article.
Maybe. But I'll have this copy for all the council.
We got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
No, it's a new one.
Okay. One we hate but necessary. Tax appeals, tax rebates.
So most of these were due to, house demolitions and rebuilds, a couple of fires, and a building at the airport that was coming up. So with the house demolitions and the rebates, we'll get that tax dollar back when they rebuild.
This is pretty small compared to the big box.
Yeah.
rebates.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't resist. Okay, the rowing club, foundation application.
Thought it was a good fit. It sounds like a neat little project. And it will be available to the city for our own needs.
Any questions on that, Councillor Rayner?
The project won't be undertaken unless the funding is received from the foundation. Okay, because my concern was, they do the project, they don't get the money, then they're gonna be coming back to us to fund it. And so, I'm in support of this, but I'm not in support of any funds, because the way it says there's no expected budget impact, I just wanna ensure that the rowing club realizes that if the grant is not accessible, don't come back to the city for the funding for this. Because based on our discussions yesterday, we already have a number of issues with the operating budget.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, I was on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Coney Island resident parking.
So, at the council meeting, well, when they were property located at 1/7th Street South, which is the Cameron House, I believe it's referred to as. Concerns were raised regarding parking on the street in the area. At the time, council asked that the area be looked at in terms of enforcement. So we've done that, realizing that there are permanent residents that live on Coney Island that use this space. Increasing enforcement in the area might cause a little bit of issues, being that it's 24-hour limit parking on 7th Street South and 48-hour parking along First Avenue South. Some people park there during the winter months and access their properties by the footbridge because ice roads don't even go to their properties. So in increasing enforcement in the area, we looked at an alternate parking solution for the permanent residents on Coney Island. At the time, it was realized that there was a previous area that was used for parking for Coney Island residents. So the plan is to revitalize that area because it's run down now, and make it into permanent parking at a monthly charge for those that are using, those that live there that need a parking space on land. So, does council have any questions?
Just for clarity, we might want to put that long-term parking be established at $50 per month, rather than just $50.
Sure.
No, that was a question. Heather, is there any possible way, when we're looking at that parking area, I agree with you, it has to be cleaned up and the barrier built, that it can come back a little bit off the road, because oftentimes if a truck's parking in there or something, they're going almost right into the right of way of the road because it's narrow there. So I don't know if that's likely ministry property.
I guess we can look at the property lines to see where our property ends and theirs begins.
Yeah, for smaller
To see
cars
if
it's
it can
great.
be.
Yeah, but when somebody's got a truck, it kind of goes out
Sticks
on
out
the
on the road.
And the other thing, just as a thought, depending how it goes next week, it might be good to put, in the past, we've had issues with parking along 7th Street, which we have had. And the boat docking is just to put a communication piece in the mailbox down there for the Coney residents.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Write that down.
I'm assuming here that there would be, the reserve sign put on these things when they're fixed with the name of whoever's renting it.
I don't know if
Would they
we
be
put
responsible for
names
that?
on there or numbers like we do in our other lots.
I think numbers are.
Okay.
Just put reserved number or such and such.
Yeah, instead of names.
I think the important thing here is that it's the enforcement.
Yeah.
Because regardless, people are not gonna wanna pay, so they're gonna continue
yeah.
to park along 7th.
And they can, but we
But-
will be enforcing it.
Based on my history when I lived there, vehicles would be left for weeks at a time. So, and the other issue is the enforcement of the docking regulations on that
Yeah.
7th Street dock. Because again, people are pulling in and they actually lock their boats to the dock. And they'll stay there from 7:30 in the morning till 6 at night. So nobody else can use that dock, and that's totally against the law. So it's important that, especially now that the fines are available.
Yeah.
That we really start enforcing this.
New signs have been put on, a lot of the problem before was there was no signage, on most of the public docks in town. New signage has been placed, we'll be needing and actively enforcing the parking on the docks as well, public docks.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things, Heather, I appreciate the report and the fact that you've been proactive in acknowledging the concerns of the residents there following that zoning, and it hasn't been all that long, so that is appreciated. It's a good report. The other is, I think, as summer approaches, and I bring this up only because it's in the report, along First Avenue, that's a critical piece as well. And it's not only the enforcement, but as you get further down the road, it's pretty dangerous when vehicles are parked out there and traffic is flowing back and forth. So they pull out into the other lane past the vehicles, so perhaps that's something we can look at sometime. I'll leave that with you and Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Okay. Okay. Next one, summer council meeting schedule. Okay, so, it was actually a surprise. It's wide open, so I guess we could take both notes
That's great.
then. Got some.
Big time in September.
I was the one that brought, I think I was the one that brought it forward last meeting and was looking at, the potential of 2 months, and then the discussion took place, and we thought, or the suggestion was, let's try it for a month. And if there's a need for an emergency meeting, it can be called, like we normally would. I'm content with, whatever council decides, whatever month. I also wanna take into consideration, staff workload in preparing for meetings. I know August is gonna be very busy. There's the Canada Summer Games, people are leaving for, AMO, so a lot of time is taken up. So I'm, after council feedback, I'm interested in administration too, from preparation for the meetings. And what makes the most sense for council and staff? Where's the middle road for us? Cause it's an experiment.
I'm gonna make a suggestion. I wasn't really joking about 2 months. Make a suggestion that we go with the 2 months. And if we need a meeting, like if we need a meeting, we hit July, you're gonna know right away, but there's things that have to be passed. When we have an emergency meeting, means you're instead of 2, you're gonna have 1. You're gonna have the issues, you have to come forward, and you're gonna have a meeting for them. And so if the need be, on a as need basis, I mean, if places like City of Winnipeg, I think they still do it, can do it, then I'm sure if we've got the budgets all passed and everything's in order, I think we could do the 2 months, and if we need a special meeting, the special meeting's a special meeting, not a committee of the whole and council, so to pass something that had to be passed, it can't wait till September. Karen?
Can I,
Go ahead first.
can I just simply suggest then that there be a willingness on council to have the public meetings for planning purposes to make sure that
Yeah.
it's not a 2-month hiatus on planning purposes?
No, that's important, if we have to get a planning thing, because there might be some things coming through that are quite important, so, yeah.
I wasn't here for the initial discussion. Personally, I don't like the idea of missing any months. I think it's important that we continue, but I was willing, to go with 1 month. I looked at the meetings from last year, and in July, the time we spent with committee of the whole and council was 7 hours. In August, council and committee of the whole combined were 6 hours. So there's obviously issues that happen throughout. Every time we call a special meeting, we'd have to advertise, would we not, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's additional costs, so I just think of, you look at some of the issues today where, like James's capital project, we've always got, here's our capital budget, but this is the reality of what these projects come in at. So if we constantly, every time he can't hold up, so he's gonna need approvals. So if we're constantly, like, the minimum, I'd be fine going with 1. I'm not comfortable taking the entire summer off, because I think then it ties, that's our busiest capital project time. And so we need to continue, we've got such a short window, we need to continue to be able to, the staff can get those done, and we can't keep calling meetings every couple weeks.
Councilor Moon?
I would agree with Dan. I think in other communities or municipalities, David, you referenced where they have that time. They also have committees of council that deal with the business of the day on a regular basis, whether it's finance, operations, community service. They have those in place. So a lot of the issues can be addressed with us. We're all committee of the whole, so I'd be happy to try with 1 month.
That's fine. Councilor Smith?
Yeah, we did have that discussion, and what I had said when we brought it forward was we did actually try 2 months, with the health unit board. We do take a month off in summer, but last year we thought, well, why not take both, and we tried it. when we came back, that schedule was so heavy, we thought, no, that's not gonna happen. So we set our schedule at the beginning of the year, and we are taking July off, this year. And I put my plug in for July because I don't take winter vacation, and July, I spend a lot of time on the lake. It is absolutely the best month to be on the lake or motorcycling. And,
Motorcycle on the lake?
well, with pontoons. And Dan's right, to call us back for special meetings. If you're planned to take a vacation and you're gone, then it's onerous on council to ensure that everybody's here. To have a meeting, also concerned about the optics of this. And for myself, there are some councillors that don't have August off anyways. We're already committed to AMO, so we don't have August off as a month. So for myself, I would prefer July. I don't really care, but I would prefer July because all my meetings are shut down. And I'm meeting in August anyways with the board and going to AMO, so it really isn't a month off. I'm happy with whatever, but I don't think we should be taking 2 months off. Well, I don't even care if we take either month off. I'm fine to meet. I got elected to meet and I'm fine to meet.
Never had one of them off in
I know.
20-some years, so that really doesn't make any difference. Yeah, to me, I mean, the month, August, actually, I thought August, because you're going to emo, you're busy on things like that. They're all gonna be busy for me, it doesn't make any difference, I'm gonna be here anyway, so,
What's a holiday?
that's what I prefer. That 2 weeks is fine. So 1 month, we want to just try 1 month?
Yeah, I'm only comfortable with 1 month, I'm with
Yeah.
Dan,
No
and
problem.
to some degree with Sharon, I just feel like, I'm like we're abrogating, but, 1 month is about all I could probably stand. I think you're gonna see an increased workload. Which month is a tough call, I understand Sharon's, and, I think there are a couple of councillors going to AMO, and with that and the summer games and everything else, it is a pretty busy month.
Yeah.
But that said, that's a pretty busy month for staff to be called in to do everything in the midst of everything else, so I'd say 1 month, and I would look favorably at whatever the city staff would feel would be the most beneficial to them.
It's a 50-50 decision here.
I mean, we could end up having a special meeting in August too, I mean,
Oh,
just, you know,
very much so.
I think with some of the finding issues we're gonna be looking at this summer, that we could be having special meetings, period, and I remember them years when we were having special meetings all the time to get things through, back during the trust choice era, when they were building and stuff like that, and if you got something big like that, you accommodate people, so. So July, our committee of the whole would be the 11th and the 18th, right? And I mean, if you're gonna be gone somewhere and you miss a meeting, it's not a big deal. I mean, we don't have a council that's missing a lot of meetings, so I mean, it's, whether you miss one of them or not, it really doesn't matter.
Because the meeting is the 18th of July, and August is just gonna be bang, bang, bang with events, could I suggest that we take the July meeting, or take the August meeting off?
Yeah, August meeting is fine, but I mean, it doesn't make any difference to me because I'm gonna be here no matter what. We get a lot of stuff going on this summer, so I can't escape it, but, well, I can.
Yeah, sorry, Bill. Yeah, if Dan's suggesting August to try and bring some closure to that, I'm fine with that. I would support that. I respect Sharon's opinion, as well with July, so, but I'm fine taking August.
Yeah, I'm fine with August too.
Let's try it.
Taking a look at.
And this is a
just gives you
one-year-
more time for the.
It's a
things.
one-year program, right?
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah,
reevaluate.
reevaluate after, yeah.
No, take a month off, get a month off and take a month.
It,
You should be able to.
it doesn't, I think the other comment, it doesn't stop the flow of information. Staff regularly provide us with information. So it's not like the computer shuts down in August 1st and reopens on August 30th. The information is there.
So we're going with August then?
I'm fine.
You're for August? August? You
No,
don't
I'm
care?
for July,
July?
but don't ask me, I'm not in the council, so is it meeting anyways?
Goes August.
Yeah, it was fine with me either way, but I would prefer August.
Well, that's at least four preferred August, so. Yeah, that's fine. To me, it doesn't make any difference. Like, if I can buy Mexican for one of our goals here. Okay. August then?
My profession as a teacher.
You're looking.
We're good? And just because we did that, it will rain for the whole month of August, but.
Yep.
Actually, recently, August has been the best month for weather. That isn't guaranteed. Okay, operations infrastructure, municipal roadwork tender, I guess, eh? There's nothing on the fire emergency services, so just municipal roadwork tender, Jeff?
Yep, we put out the annual tender, and we received 3 bids. Montreat Construction was the lowest, and we're recommending we go with that.
$1,246,000.
Yes.
Any questions, Councilor Smith?
Well, I was looking at the schedule, and is Norman Drive actually gonna get, the back road actually getting done this year?
You noticed that,
Yeah,
eh?
congratulations.
I
People will be happy to do
cringe
that.
when I see street names on a list, because you just never know what can happen, but
Stick with
right
this
now
one.
it's there, alright? So right now it's on the list.
Yeah, that's great, the community would be glad to see that. Have you considered paving the shoulders as you go, is it too much?
It adds a significant
I know.
cost, so.
Are we gonna straighten out any of the line curves, any of the elevations, is there?
Right now, that level of detail hasn't been looked at.
You know what, there's a wonderful opportunity to do this one right, so.
Yeah, no, you can have a sidebar discussion if you like.
Yeah, we will for sure, but I was so happy to see this one on there, and I'm sure the community will be also. Thank you, Jeff.
$1,246,000. The engineering plans are already in for that,
For what?
for $1,246,000.
Yeah,
No, it's
the
the-
work is already specified
Yeah.
there, but we can certainly discuss.
Oh, yeah, right. I
The,
understand.
I don't wanna throw a bad omen at this. Last time we tried to do it, it snowed in September and the paving got shut down and we didn't do anymore.
But this is, since I've been on council, this is the 3rd time we've done this. And staff continue to bring back a priority list.
Yeah.
And you can see the improvements as much as people would like. You know, it's gonna be little steps, but every one of these is important and makes a big difference when they're done. So, it works. In my mind, it's worked well since I've been on council.
Councilor Mills?
I'm much like Sharon, I commend operations, it's a difficult task to, which one do you pick over the other one, and, you start setting your priorities, you're the experts. And I think and like that example that you gave, there's gonna be a number of people I know, paramedics, all those kinds of vehicles that go over that road all the time are gonna be quite pleased, so. But I think we have to prepare ourselves, like you said, Jeff, we could hit a major emergency in the community where, you have to divert funding or something, but at this point, at least it's a plan. So I appreciate it, I think the work is good work.
Just another comment, Mayor. When we were talking yesterday, we're talking about not taking the recommendation of the consultant of the asset management plan. And, if, like Lori said, or Dan said actually, you know, we pick away and we pick away, well, there isn't enough money in the system. And if there was, we'd be looking at an over a 2% tax increase above everything else to actually meet our targets in the asset management plan. So it's one or the other. We're gonna have to wait on these roads and pick away, or we actually, undertake the consultant's recommendation and have that tax increase. It can't be both ways for the community, and they have to recognize that.
And on the, I guess on the more positive side, no matter what the asset management plan says, that road was going to be rebuildable 15 years ago. and it's still there, and people are still driving over it, so your timelines are gonna be stretched, that's, you know, it's,
That's the way it is.
you can't have champagne taste on your income, and if you have taxes that much, nobody's gonna be living here, so it's just not realistic, it's all sort of kind of finding that middle of the road and, continuing towards, funding opportunities, but.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, community development services, budget amendment, Nishnawee Park barbecue pit improvements. And, there's two reports on this, one was an update, right?
James is here.
Right.
James is here to speak to.
Oh, James, thank you.
Yeah, so, the budget on that isn't as much as obviously needed according to the bidders on the job. The masonry work alone is the item that's really increased the value of the repairs there. So we're just needing the additional funds for that barbecue pit. The building or the infrastructure was built in the late sixties. It's lasted over 40 years. Tuning it up now will get another 30, 40 years out of it.
Okay, are we good? Any more questions?
No.
Okay, we're all invited to the barbecue?
Are you opening barbecue, you barbecuing, James?
Who knows?
And museum design services, the art gallery, and the Nelson Architects was the one little bidder, and this is coming forward at no cost to us.
I don't think it was low bid.
So, I don't know the original bid, but Nelson Architect was the chosen, responded to the original RFP for business plan. And as part of that RFP, the wording in the RFP document was that the museum board may select to continue to work with, sorry, I'm not verbatim, but may continue to work with the successful proponent, and they like the design, they like the concept, and the museum board has approved and are seeking council support to move forward with Nelson Architect to move the project forward to a detailed design stage. I understand the fundraising will pay for this project.
Other hands.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't, because then somebody's gonna say, well, I didn't get a chance to bid.
Yeah.
It was,
We're not funding it.
yeah, but it's also the efficiency in the working with the group, and for all those reasons that Karen said, that they're gonna continue to move it through that process.
Councilman
Yeah,
Miller?
I think that also speaks to the value of the, that new addition to our reports, the risk analysis piece. It adds clarification. It's a good section on the report, so glad staff did that.
Okay, good. Okay, Recreation Center first quarter. Any questions on that? Just information, basically. That was the, if I remember right, and this was the ice usage down?
No?
Yes, I think so actually.
Does that mean we don't have to build a new one?
Well, facility booking in hours, this will rank 1266 and 2016 was 1319. Q8 was 883 and 943. Recreation facilities rooms were up significantly.
What's this?
Some projects are time different too. You take the First Nations tournament, when they use all the ice at both facilities for 3 days. That tournament last year was in March. This year, those 6 days of full use will be reflected in April. So when we get this quarterly report for June, you're gonna see significantly higher, or not significant, but you're gonna see it higher in April compared to April of, because the ice was actually out the start of April last year, whereas this year was in for three weeks. So you have to take certain factors into account when you look at those numbers.
When Easter falls, because that's the First Nation tournament is that weekend.
And it's a significant user because they're starting first thing in the morning
Yeah, and they're
Running
like
late at night.
4 days this year.
at both rinks. For the majority of it.
Yeah, it wasn't a big difference, it just.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah, that was
but
kinda,
by taking it out 1 month and shifting it to the next,
could be,
it
right,
just,
okay.
I think just, if I may, just a comment, I think as it evolves with the facilities, there's more and more partnerships with the school systems too. Heather and Dan helped me with the hockey program at the schools.
Hockey Academy through.
Hockey Academy is significantly increased, and I think it will continue to for boys and girls. So there's different things and partnerships going on, so.
And that Sunrise is going back in Q8 now, Dan?
Sunrise wasn't great last year.
Oh, I thought we did the rental last year.
No,
Or was it year before?
here before, Sharon. I was thinking the same
I
thing.
know.
Yeah,
Time's moving quickly, Sharon.
Too quickly,
that's the fast ice in Q8, and that's why.
yeah. So much better now too with the renovations.
So you heard me, she ran there to see it.
Well, when I was at high school, at the hockey school last year, I noticed there was a difference in the ice.
It looks great, there's no problem.
And for the young kids hockey that's always over there, the spectator base is quite large. Yeah, it is, it's good. It's a good facility.
To tell you the truth, I never went skating once this last winter.
Good night.
I know, crazy. Are we degenerating into conversation here or what?
I've just.
Did you notice that, Matt?
I'd let you continue for a minute and then we'll go on to the next order of business. Okay, we're getting into summer, so get a little more relaxed.
Brings back memories for you though, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember the last time I was skating. Okay, proclamations, we have 37 to read today, I'm just kidding. We have 3. Okay, participation in Canada 150 Community Leaders Network and Canada 150 celebrations. Whereas Canada's 150 celebrations marking the 150th anniversary of the Confederation are a historic moment for communities across the country, and whereas the Federation of Canadian Municipalities is partnered with Canadian Heritage to bring local voices to Canada 150 celebrations through the Canada 150 Community Leaders Network. And whereas the Canada 150 Community Leaders Network represents a valuable opportunity to promote the city of Kenora at the national level throughout 2017 and beyond. And whereas the city of Kenora has already nominated local residents to participate in the Canada 150 Community Leaders Network to stay informed on Canada 150 events, and while bringing local voices and perspectives to Canada-wide celebrations. Now therefore, I, David S. Canfield, Mayor of the City of Kenora, do hereby proclaim that the council will endorse the participation in Canada 150 activities at a local level and provide the necessary calibration to local participants of Canada 150 Community Leaders Network throughout 2017 in order to bring the City of Kenora's voice to nationwide celebrations. Proclaim the City of Kenora on the 9th day of May 2017. Our next one, Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Whereas Lyme disease is an infectious disease that is seriously underreported across the nation, and whereas ticks that host Lyme disease are carried by mice, rabbits, squirrels, deer, birds, and other animals, and whereas traditional methods of removing embedded ticks are dangerous and can increase the risk of acquiring the infection, ticks can be so small and hard to detect that many people who contact Lyme disease do not recall being bitten. And whereas prompt treatment with adequate antibiotic therapy and early stages infections may cure Lyme disease, thereby preventing damage and complications of progressive Lyme disease, and whereas in some cases untreated or inadequately treated Lyme disease can lead to death, lack of early recognition, diagnosis, and treatment can result in permanent physical damage. Therefore, many Lyme patients are left disabled, and whereas the science surrounding Lyme and tick-borne diseases is unclear and emerging and testing may be inaccurate, citizens and medical providers are encouraged to take all tick-borne diseases seriously. Now therefore, I, David S. Canfield, Mayor of the City of Kenora, do hereby proclaim April 17th as Lyme Disease Awareness Month for the City of Kenora and for the City of Kenora, and encourage our citizens to become better educated about this illness and how they can protect themselves from the infection. Proclaimed at the City of Kenora on the 9th day of May 2017. And By virtue of authority vested in me, I hereby proclaim June 2017 as National Seniors Month in and for the city of Kenora, and request its observance as such by our citizens, proclaim that the city of Kenora may this 9th day of May 2017. Why can't they all be this short?
Yes. Just two more things. I believe this week is Nurses Week as well. And also what we received yesterday, maybe something's coming up at council, but it's Emergency Preparedness Week as well.
We read that, we read it at the 18th.
Oh, okay. And I was at that council meeting, right?
And we also read mental health.
Yeah, I got that. At least I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. We're equivalent ahead, right? Okay, anything else, council? Start with Councilor Washington. Anything to add? Any announcements?
No, not at this point.
Okay, Councilor Miller.
No, good, thanks.
Councilor Smith.
No.
Councilor Goss.
Congratulations to the roads department. Downtown looks fantastic. The sweeping is well ahead of schedule. For many years we've been moaning about how bad it looks coming to May long weekend, and we're a month ahead of that. I'm very impressed with all the downtown work. Very much so. It's a great look for people coming into Kenora. See that the dust and the sand are gone. We're ready for it.
Okay, Councilor Rayner.
You mentioned that you haven't skated for years, but you still have your stick handling abilities. Just following up on Mort said, the Biz is holding their barbecue this Saturday from 11 until 2 at the corner of 2nd and Main. And it's a community cleanup, so based on what's happened, they're gonna probably have to spread out to find litter and garbage because the downtown does look good. So again, come out and celebrate, and if it's a beautiful day, the barbecue is free, so. Again, it's a project of the Biz, and it's one they're doing annually, so. Oh, the exhibit, it's open last Wednesday. Yeah, the Phillips exhibit is now on for the month of May. And so that will give people that are interested a glimpse of potentially what's gonna be in the new gallery, the future date. So it'd be a good opportunity for people to take it in and get a better understanding of what their long-term plans are.
It's great art too.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now May 25th, Service Awards, I've seen an email, was it from you, Rick? Yeah, I won't be here. It's at the Clarion, Service Awards for firefighters from around the area. Is that right? Yes. Okay, everybody's aware of it?
Yeah.
Okay, and the other one on Wednesday, the youth and philanthropy thing, did that go?
Yeah, that's it.
Darlene sent it out
Darlene
late,
sent it out.
or yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I apologize for that. I did get back there and said that I could get up there tomorrow.
You're gonna go then, Dave?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
so.
Good.
I always try to go, but I've got meetings bookending, so I'm tentative.
And the other one here we've got is the freedom of the city, and it's a request, and unfortunately, again, I'm not gonna be here. But I'll read you got this letter, right, you sent it? The freedom of the city?
I think we can.
I think I had Heather send it out. We sent this out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want me to read it?
Sure. It's up to you, Dave.
Go ahead.
Well, it's going to be, actually, the freedom of the city, and it's 116 Field Battery. I had a meeting with them on Saturday with Major Huey, however you pronounce that, and Woody Linton and Rob Poirier, and there was about 6 people in total. And basically what they do is we give them freedom of the city. They march down, I think it's from Water Street, and they march up to City Hall, and the major will, bang in the door, and then the deputy mayor or representative will, because I won't be here, unfortunately, and will ask for permission for freedom of the city, and then the mayor and deputy mayor will grant it. And, so it's kind of an interesting, thing, and they're quite happy that the city was behind this. And they were originally going to do a salute off the harbor front with the guns, but they can't do that now. Something to do with safety or something, so that's, Woody, brought me up to speed, that's been, canceled, and, when he first asked, yeah, sure. But they can't do it for some reason, but it's gonna be, and then it wraps up with a ball on, that night, so if, as many counselors that would be available to go to the military ball.
I don't
And
have a gun. Do
it
you?
is a somewhat of a dress-up event.
Just wear a
I've
skirt.
been to them before, and they're great, and anybody else, and, you know, that's good, so. All the information was on that letter, so it would be nice to get a turnout. I'm kinda sad that I'm not gonna be here. But,
What date's that again?
June 3rd. June the 3rd, which would be Saturday. They come up,
2 weeks from now or 3?
So
Yeah.
Dave, with respect to the, marching up to City Hall, is that on the 3rd? Is that
No.
on the Saturday?
no, they come up to City Hall, that would be on the Friday.
Okay, cause Dan, you're,
Sure, on Friday, we're good.
you're away, you're unable.
I won't be able to.
You've got all the information, Heather? Yeah, Woody sent Heather all the information because they were talking about trade permits and stuff and things, whatever, so
We'll
all the
take,
information is here, so we'll get the information out for everybody, and I know he just sent it through probably yesterday.
Yeah, I just brought it in.
Yeah, just, so, we'll get that information, and
we'll
make sure
take direction from that.
everybody's aware, right, and, she's better at that than I. Just a way more knowledgeable. What am I forgetting? I think that's it. I'm forgetting all, I remember. Okay, motion to adjourn to a closed meeting.
I have it. Moved by myself, seconded by Mort Goss. Council adjourned to a closed session at 10:17 a.m. And that pursuant to section 239 of Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the closed session will discuss items pertaining to the following: education and training members of council, one matter.
Okay.